I, Nishita Vyas, your host for the session, welcome you to this tech meetup, Humanized AI, Dominant Yet Irresponsible. Azilen being a product engineering company, we ensure a successful product journey for our clients with new and latest technologies. Hence, our prime focus is to build and grow our teams and their expertise in these technologies. One such area within artificial intelligence that we are exploring is humanized AI, where we are working on some interesting stuffs. In collaboration with Intellica, an AI specialized company, we bring you this meetup to capture the insights and real world use cases of humanized AI based on our experience. We believe in sharing ecosystem wherein we all can share the knowledge, discuss, interact, and learn to keep up with the AI technologies to build more human-centric solutions. Our speakers for the day are Mr. Jugal Bhavsar, a chief architect who is technology and evangelist. His core role is to design and review the technical mentorship of ML engineers, evaluate architectural risk, and provide recommendations while leading cross-functional teams through his competency in machine learning and data science. Mr. Pranav Dave, senior ML engineer, who plays a vital role in data science and software engineering. He specializes in designing, maintaining, and improving algorithmic models. Mr. Archan Mehta, a data scientist who plays a vital role in automating ML processes through proficiency in data science algorithms, discovering trends, patterns, and values of data. The session coverage of the day will include humanized AI and Eagle's view, the domain or sphere, impact and reach, what's on the ground, the best foot forward. The session will conclude with open table Q&A, the idea sharing and generation, appreciation, a vote of thanks, and meet and munch, that's refreshment and networking. We hope that you have an insightful session today and you take away a lot of learning and ideas. I hereby welcome these speakers to please continue the session now.
Hello, good morning all. Jugal here. So let's start our session with the basic question like what is AI? So we know AI is a method in which we create a programs or a robots which thinks intelligently like a human. So now we are adding today a new flavor to it named Humanized AI. So let's see what is Humanized AI. So, so as per the definition, Humanized AI means AI with some human touch. For example, AI should understand what human understands. For example, joy, fear, sorrow, etc. And it should reply in such a way as well that it is understanding and say communicating properly. For example, let's say Siri. So when I ask the Siri, should I wear a coat today? So Siri would understand that, yeah, this person is asking if rain would be there or not. So in this case, it would reply, no, there is no rain today, so it's fine, you should not wear a coat today. So that's a classic example of humanized AI. Now, let's dig deeper. Let's take an example of a salon. So we do have in Ahmedabad in India, Enrich Salon. Let's say they have hundreds of outlets there. Now, in the cases when we go there, receptionist would be there, and we ask the person that I'm here for, say, hair services. So that person would give you the brochure. There would be 350 plus services, and we need to ask like what is there, what is not. So then if I go there and I'll ask, I want to do a haircut with hair wash, and then they'll ask like what type of person do you need for that. So I'll ask academy expert would be fine. So in that case, I'll go there, service would be there. Then when I'll go back home, I'll receive some feedback email or SMS in which I can feel the feedback. So this is the conventional scenario that currently we are looking into. Now let's add a humanized AI touch here. So for example, when you're going there into the salon, and that salon would scan your face, know who are you, and greet you. Say, good morning, Jugal. So in this case, I'll feel that, yeah, that person knows me. Now, in that case, it will ask, good morning, what do you want to do today? So I'll say I'll go for a haircut, and that AI would reply, is it the same as the last time? So I'll say, yeah, same. Just add a hair spa as well into that. So it would add, say, it saved my time. It knows what I like, what I not. In that case, it would assign the services would be done. Then when I go back to home, they'll ask a feedback at the same time in the store and say, based on that, I reply there. So based on my facial expression and my words, they can understand if I am happy with or not on that case. So on that scenario, it would understand and raise that if this person would come back to us or not. So in this case, if he finds out that, yeah, this person would not come back, it would raise an alarm. One person can come and understand what was the issue, add some freebies, add some suggestions, and I can feel better what I was feeling because of the service. Now when I go back to home, and after a week, if they call me and check how is it going, when we talk, what was the scenario and everything, and I'll provide the feedback. So it saved my time and I feel good as well, so I'll go back there. So here we saw that when the person was there, we missed lots of things, but now when AI is there, I can recognize the person, I can know what was his preferences, what he likes, what he not, and based on that, we can continue the conversation and that customer would be retained. So that is the humanized AI touch we added to the receptionist role. So here you can see, based on that, the example you can see, in humanized AI, we are adding cognitive, emotional, as well as compassionate features into it. So it understands like a human, and as human, so there would be chance, receptionist can do the same thing as well, but there would be chances, less number of people would be there. For AI, it's not an issue, it's scalable, we can directly put that. If receptionist changes the job, he would say, do not remember the person, but AI is there, data is there, it would understand. So our data would there, so our experience would be better and better in the future. So adding a humanized AI would add a better use cases and better customer experiences in this case. So let's compare with the humanized AI with the non-humanized or the classic AI that currently we have in most of the cases. So as we saw, humanized AI mainly concentrates on the human emotions, when it gives you a better user experience as well as better details. In non-humanized AI, it's our conventional AI like regression, prediction. It depends on the mathematical data and the historical data that we can apply into. So as I mentioned, it is mainly human connect. That is the main feature of the humanized AI. And we saw the common sense and everything when the humanized AI was talking with the person. As I mentioned, statistical approach based on the historical data is being applied on the non-humanized part. So for humanized AI, we would see lots of examples today. This is one of them, the interview analysis. And non-humanized AI, we all know about OCR, RPA, other regression and prediction techniques as well. So based on, say, our research and everything, we have created one element named Dominosphere. So Dominosphere would connect all the humanized AI's features to the different domains and also list out all the applications towards it. So if you see, we have listed some of the features which are important for the human conversation. And you can see we have curated some domains as well. After that, you'll see the different applications which are connected with this domain. So for example, let's add something here. So in a hospitality industry, there is an application named AI Concierges. So mainly it's something that serves the people with the AI. So for example, I read a couple of months back, in Bangalore, there is a company named Freshot, and they created a Idli boat. So in which you need to go there, scan the QR code, select some menu, and pay there, and it would create another QR code. You need to scan to that machine would scan, and cooks idli with the whatever the say features you ask, or say extra chutney and everything. So it serves, cooks, then packs and delivers to it. So that's our automation. QR code and everything was there. Let's add a humanized AI there. So it would be better, don't you think, that if I go there and if I ask, I would like to try 2 idlis today with extra chutney, let's make it 3. So it would be quite easy for me to elaborate, and it would be directly understanding it and serves it to me. Same things can be happened with our favorite Domino's. For example, if I call Domino's and if I ask, I'm looking for farmhouse with some extra cheese and add couple of cokes as well. So this would add a human touch. It would understand. There would be no say, cross questioning, and it can confirm with us. Yeah, this is the order. Anyway, that person is confirming with us. So we are say reducing the roles with the AI, but we are adding more features with the AI with the humanized touch. So that is the couple of examples that we can take. Now AI around us. So as you are aware, these are some of the examples that we are using in day-to-day life. Let's start with the streaming services like Netflix, Spotify, and Prime. Those understands us what based on our preferences, like our age-like person's preferences, and suggest us. So then there is a Flipkart, which helps us for shopping and everything based on our prior experiences and what we search and everything. The next one is Asian Paint. So it's a quite older name. From the 1970s, they are trying AI, and they know what we need for our home. So they are predicting, and every 4 hours, they are stocking their stocks into the stores. Apart from that, there are some healthcare players which are helping people for psychological defects. Apart from that, in India now, couple of legal agencies are also trying AI, mainly from say law department as well as tax. Apart from that, we are using Gmail, LinkedIn, and Grammarly, which is our day-to-day tools and which are helping us for being better based on what we are trying to, and they'll understand and help us that yeah, if we try this, it will be make more impact there. So office tools are there. Then there are quant funds which understands how the humans are thinking, and based on that, those are running the market. So those are quant funds. Tesla is well known. We know how it works. And some social media, for example, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, they try and based on user interactions, they actually run the whole flow. And run, say, if you say they are running whole sites and based on your preference, they are making you, say, stay there for hours and hours and hours based on your preferences. So that is the social media. Now for the next, we are showcasing some of our work that we did on related to the AI and humanized AI. So for that, I would like to call on Archan Mehta for the next set of section. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you, Jugal. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So my name is Archan Mehta, and I will be showcasing some of the use cases we worked on. So these are some of the use cases which involved cognitive screening, store analytics, community sentiments, facial emotion analysis, and candidate pre-screenings. Various domains and various technology has been involved in these use cases, and we would deep dive in each of this individually. So starting it with our first use case, that is cognitive screening. Uh, this is cognitive screening is one of the solution we provided to our healthcare uh, clients, in which it is a tool which basically detects dementia problems in elderly people. Dementia is commonly found in elderly people, and the symptoms involved in are loss of memory, loss of thinking, and social abilities. So to detect it in early stages is very crucial. So this tool basically generates various tests, and based on the responses received in the test, it evaluates whether the patient is suffering from dementia or not. So in this test, there are various visuospatial tests involved, various audio-spatial tests involved, and basic question answering tests are involved. In this tool, what traditionally they followed was they evaluated the test results, processed them, and generated the output of that. So in that, it required a lot of manpower, computation time, and as well as cost. So to smoothen this process, we integrated humanized AI in this. Since there were various tests involved, we will pick one subtest of this and showcase what solution approach we performed. So for this, I would like someone to volunteer uh, from the audience. So the test would be like you have to subtract 3 from 50 5 times. So how would you answer this question?
So there are a couple of ways to answer this. Multiply 3 by 5 and subtract the remainder. And either you can subtract 3 5 times, which is 47, 44, 41, 38, and 35.
uh, for the response. Yes, so as we see that it is easy for us to answer this basic maths question. But for elderly people, due to various voice disorders and various pronunciation issues and uh, thinking capabilities, they take time. And sometimes use filler words like, oh, what is 50, then 3, okay. So they add such layers in between, which become difficult while processing those audios and generating uh, responses for them. So for this, uh, we will go through the solution approach. In that, uh, first of all, the task was to detect how confident the patient is answering the question. So for that, we collected around 500 patient samples and labeled those. After that, using various audio feature extraction techniques, we extracted what information is important in the audios. Then, using several modeling techniques and selecting the optimal model, we generated the output of those. The challenges, as discussed, there were various voice disorders like stuttering, sometimes pronunciation issues were there, mumbling issues, repeating of words and digits continuously. Then there were scenarios in which while patient is answering the test, there are various speakers present in the background. So we need to bifurcate the patient audios as well as the speakers from the background. To overcome these challenges, what we did was, first of all, to overcome the pronunciation issues. We created a custom switch model which would uh, generate the transcript based on the audio samples we have and would learn how the patients are pronouncing specific words and digits. Then, for handling various disorders, we computed various audio feature extraction techniques like syllable nuclei, glottal phonation, and prosody. So, in these techniques, what they mainly focus is like how the energy is coming from the vocal cords, how many syllables are present when the audio is there, what is the voice part and what is the unvoiced part. Also, besides this, we created custom features for detecting the speak rate while answering, calculating number of words, digits in the answer. And also, since there were words also involved, we calculated whether the negation scenarios are present or not. After that, for the next challenge, handling multiple speakers, we used some of the unsupervised classification approaches to bifurcate between the patient audios and the background audios. After creating this model, generating the results, to extract the specific response which we need, we applied some information extraction techniques and generated our final output. So some of the sample use case which we received from the patients, we'll look on those. So here we can see that the same answer uh, which we asked earlier, uh, there are issues like the patient is trying to repeat 40, 42 times. Then here there are some filler words which should be discarded. And here are some decision-making words where he is selecting 3 or 4, one decision he is making. In this use case, we can see that the negation word is there and the repetition scenario is also there. Yes, so this was all about cognitive screening. So for the next use case, it was regarding the store analytics, and it was one of the solution we provided in the fintech, in the retail domain. In this, when the main focus of the retail stores were situated in USA and Canada. So they faced challenges in workforce management and performance management. The pain points were in supply chain management employee performance management, as well as customer retention. So for this, various AI techniques we performed, and we'll quickly look on the activities we did and which was the humanized AI element we added. So the starting with the AI techniques, one approach was to forecast sales. So using various time series analysis, we forecasted which quarter or which time of the year there would be more sales. So further decisions could be made by the retail store owners and would be helpful for them. Same thing in the inventory forecasting. We generated alerts based on the exhaustion of inventory and would be helpful for the retail stores. The next was important for them to analyze which customers are coming back and purchasing more. So for that, based on the various feedbacks they received uh, from the customers, we performed customer comment theme detection and analyzed the responses and generated reports for them. The next was employee performance analysis. For this, we evaluated the performance of the employees based on the ratings received, and further this could be helpful when there is some festive season coming, then which best performing employees should be forwarded for that. The next was analyzing performance of various departments and stores they are having based on the sales and the quality they had. So out of all these AI activities, we found that one size fit all approach does not work for this. So for adding humanized element, we picked up this customer comment theme detection and picked up linguistic and text features for um, adding this humanized element. So in this, we will look forward to the solution approach we took. So out of the database which we were having, we picked up customer comments, uh, refined those, cleaned those comments, then performed various feature extraction technique, and then after performing clustering and topic modeling, we labeled those comments. Then after labeling those, we passed it to the modeling, and then performed inference and sentiments. Since this was the feedback data, the comments were not labeled. So initially we had to use various clustering techniques and topic modeling techniques to identify which topics or how the comments or what information is present in those topics. So for that, this was one of the challenge. Then also there were challenges like when there is a given comment, there is mention of more than two topics in that comment. For example, the customer is saying about the store people as well as mentioning about some products. So this was one of the challenge. And other challenge which comes with this is how or what sentiments he is using for those themes. So for resolving this, we can look on the example. So here we can see that there are multiple themes present here. Uh, the customer is talking about location, then something complaining about the traffic in the parking lot, and also appreciating the employees. So for this, using sentiment analysis, we could generate the sentiments as well as using topic modeling and modeling techniques, we can identify which theme is being talked about. So in the next, as we discussed earlier, that the sentiments could be different for different topics. As we can see in the first challenge, the offers provided in the store are good, but the service is poor. So if we use some traditional AI sentiment approach, it would label it as a neutral sentiment. But we can clearly see that the customer is appreciating the offers, but complaining about the services. So after adding the sentiment layer and the humanized AI element here, we bifurcated these two topics and performed sentiments for this. The next challenge is whenever we use any sentiment analysis model, so they are trained on a different domain of sentences or text. So we can utilize those, but if the domain is differing, then we need to customize it based on our domain. So as we can see that one comment is related to the store needs better parking. So here, using the traditional AI model, it would generate a positive sentiment. But since we know that this is the customer feedback data, the sentiment is negative because the customer is complaining that the parking is not good. They need it better. So based on various natural language processing techniques like tense identification, named entity recognition, we we customized the model and generated labels for this. So in the next, we can see the topics which are from the customer data we have. And in this way, they are classified into various topics like store, employee, product, item, and others. Okay. Coming on to next use case, community sentiment. So community plays a very vital role in our life nowadays. So I will need a volunteer one more time for this use case. Anyone else who would like to volunteer? So suppose uh, you would like to buy a new smartphone. So what features or what things you will look before making the decision of buying a smartphone?
So first I would look for the requirements, what I need in the smartphone, and then I would research about it that with these requirements, what are the smartphones available. And then I would go to Flipkart or Amazon, read reviews, and then I would take a decision.
Yes, that's a perfect answer. Thank you for the response. Yes. So as we can see, like we will research about the new smartphone, look on various social media platforms, look what the tech bloggers are saying, look what the experts are saying, what are the feedbacks from the buyers, as well as how they are being promoted. So highlighting various features of those smartphone and categorizing which are good and which are bad, we would make further decision. So here is one of the similar work we did in the community sentiment use case, in which we added a humanized element which would smoothen all this process and generate a report just by inputting the smartphone or any other product we wish to purchase or sell. So this was related, the work focused mainly on the fintech domain. So uh, I will showcase more. Yes. So suppose a financial service firm want to gauge sentiments for a specific stocks, shares or scripts. So it would be helpful if we generate sentiments based on various buyers or sellers, or what the investors or what the shareholding company is talking about. So for that, to identifying what traders are talking about, the solution diagram is as mentioned. In this, we would input hashtags and various aspects, refine them, generate features for that. After generating features, we would create a model which would detect whether the comments or the uh, topic or tags, hashtags are being positively phrased or negatively phrased. The challenges here were to identify the aspects on which they are talking about. Suppose there is a specific script and there is a comment mentioning the results of the quarter. So uh, the aspect identification is the main challenge here. Also, there at times are various extra information included besides the aspects which we are looking. So refinement of that is also needed. And last, to predict the sentiment of those aspects. So for this, in aspect-based sentiment analysis, what it tries to is break the text into various chunks and process those chunks and identify which aspects are present on those chunks, and then will generate report that this is the aspect the current text is talking about. So for this, we usually performed activity of generating weekly report for a given stock or script, and then performed what are the sentiments going in the community and how people are talking about. Some of the examples, yes, so here we can see that uh, using social media platform, they are mentioning to buy the stocks in the first one. Then in the second one, they are telling that it is giving decent earnings, but not confident because quarter was weak. Next, in the third example, it is mentioning about the company's performance in September and how much was the net profit and compared to the previous. So in this, the reports would be generated and it would help to smoothen the process and make better decision to identify whether the stock should be purchased or not for the traders. For the rest of use cases, I will invite Pranav Dave to continue.
Yeah, I'm Pranav. So next use case is regarding the facial emotional analysis. So let me give an example to related to this word facial emotion first. So we are using this is a practical example and we are using in our day-to-day life and everyone has experienced very well. So this is related to WhatsApp. Okay, so we are using lot of facial emojis while showing our emotions over the WhatsApp. Suppose if you have sent a funny message in a group, lot of people will reply with the different funny emojis. So there are categories in funny emojis also. Okay, so let me support your experience with a research statement. P.S. Aleskis published his research paper in IEEE journal in 2006, where he stated that there are three major elements of human which transmit the emotions to the other people. Okay, so those are face, voice, and text. So part of the face covers is 55%, then the part of the voice covers is 38%, and other covers from other 7% covers by the text. Okay, so major part of the sentiment transferred through face. Okay, so that's why the facial emotional analysis are more important. So our use case here is the interview video analysis. Okay, so uh, candidate will be interviewed by AI. The recorded video will be used to get the overall sentiment of the candidate. Okay, from the video and how he feels about his interview when it conducted by some company. Okay. So major human element we are adding over here is emotion and the expression. So these are the elements that human can easily understand. Okay, so we are adding that to the AI and apply to the this video interview analysis use case. Okay, so whatever the let's see the overall or the high level architecture of this use case. So first of all, we need an input video. So whatever the interview taken by the AI will give an input to our high level architecture or our AI architecture. And then next and foremost important key features of this use case is face detection. Because overall efficiency of our use cases depends on the face detection. If it is not detected properly or the face detection rate is very low, then I think our overall purpose is not met at the end of the analysis. Okay. Then the second part is facial feature extractions. So if you once again correlate with our facial emojis, we can find various locations of the eyebrows or the nose or the lips position. Okay. So those are all the major four components by which human can understand the emotions of the other people. So those features we are trying to extract here, okay, from the visuals and the classification modules. Now you have a questions like what are all the emotions you are extracting from the video or from the candidate. So mostly we are covering 6 to 7 categories. Those are happy, sad, neutral, surprise, discuss, fear. Okay. And the final part is the results. Whatever will be get up to the classification modules, we'll use those results for our analysis. So let's talk about the challenges. So I told you if the face is not detected properly, the overall efficiency will be reduced. So the difficulty we are getting to face is not detected is due to bad light condition or the high contrast in the videos. Okay, to overcome that difficulty, we use illumination normalization algorithm. And the second part, or the main difficulty, or the second challenge you can say is, if we find multiple faces in the video, we have to detect those faces and try to extract the emotions from those faces also. Okay. So to detect the multiple faces is also a challenge. So we use shift feature over here to detect multiple faces and try to get the emotions from that multiple faces also. Okay. So let's see an example. In this example, we have shown the interview clip from a candidate. He is in the accounting, he working in the accounting field, and particularly in the hospitality sector. So he is trying to introduce himself or giving his introduction about his experience. So let's see, and then later we'll
As
see
I
an
mentioned, in
overall
my time
analysis.
here, I've crossed multiple channels. I started out in the field in the hospitality sector before moving across to head office key account level roles within the grocery channel. Currently, I manage the largest grocery account in the carbonated drinks portfolio with Coke, which turns over about £10 million per annum. I've heard whispers that in New Zealand, the hospitality sector is really taking off, and I think my exposure to this channel over here could be really beneficial. I think I'd be an asset to some New Zealand businesses because I'm highly analytical and numbers driven. I have daily access to sales and supermarket data, which I use to prepare reports to make good business decisions. Currently, I report to the National Sales Director and have 3 direct reports myself. The people management piece has been something that I've really enjoyed, and I've found that challenging people and being challenged myself has added to my skill set.
Okay. So based on this video clip, we have tried to extract the facial emotion analysis, and the chart below the video shows the facial emotion analysis results. So here we have plotted the emotion versus the time graph. So each time instance, we are extracting all the emojis from the current face, whatever the face we are getting at that time instance, and what are the probabilities of each emotions we are plotting in this graph. So by analyzing this, you can see that overall sentiment is neutral for that this candidate. Okay. Then you can look at the bar chart also. So apart from the video emotional analysis, we have add the voice or the speech analysis and the text analysis also. We converted candidate speech into text and then find a sentiment of it. So that is joy. And if we try to get a sentiment from the voice of the candidate or the audio from the candidate, we can see he is mostly happy. From his voice, we can uh, conclude that he is happy. And what are all the major words used by the candidate over the interview? Those are mentioned over here in the word cloud. So you can see he used hospitality, hospitality sector, or sales. Other words are highlighted over here. Okay. So let's move to the next use case. So next use case is candidate pre-screening. So everyone we know that whenever there is a job opening in any MNC or somewhere, there are a lot of applications comes in. Sometimes it is 1,000, sometimes it is 100, sometimes it is 200, or if it is for the freshers, then it might reach up to thousands also. So the next step HR will do is they try to connect with each candidate manually, and like they will call each candidate and try to get their interest and get their personal informations. And if candidate is not available, they have to keep follow up to that particular candidate for and set a next round of interview for that candidate also. So those are all the manual tasks, and it requires a lot of time of HR. Okay. So we created a voice bot to make this automated. Okay, and we named that a voice bot to Rootle. So that Rootle is our product which does this automated task. Okay, so this morning I think a lot of people will get a reminder call, right? How many of you have got the reminder call? Yeah. So that call is made from Rootle. Okay. So those are all the reminder, but there are conversational part is also added to it. So that can be used in pre-screening also. So later we'll see an example of that also. Okay. And here the human element we are adding is emotion and linguistic. Linguistic in the sense we try to understand what candidate is saying. Based on that, we'll give a response to a candidate. Okay, and we will try to get an emotion from his voice or the text once again. Okay, so let's see a high level flow of Rootle campaign. So campaign you can consider or link is as a HR want to hire an .NET developer or some another profile. So for that, first of all, what they do is they will collect a candidate details, then they will have a job description and the company introduction ready with them, and they create a set of questions to be asked to the candidate also. Okay, so a lot of people will know that and face this type of call, and they know what HR will generally ask in the first HR round. They will try to get your experience, current CTC, expected CTC, and they will introduce and tell about the company and the required job profile also. Okay, so they will set up a uh, prompts nothing is but a question list that will cover the flow of overall call. Okay. um, okay, so let's see the challenges we faced while developing this product. So sometimes when candidate will pick up a call, he is in the public place, sometimes he in the bus or somewhere around he somewhere where he is surrounded with a lot of people, they are speaking with each other also. So we have to actually get a candidate voice and identify which speaker is actually candidate over the call. So we have created some algorithm which based on the pitch of the voice, that will try to detect the candidate voice and will process that voice only. Okay, then second part is speech understanding. We have to understand what candidate is saying over the call. Sometimes he raise a query, sometimes he answer respond properly, sometimes he says I'm not available and want to reschedule a call. So those type of difficulty or the part we have to handle. Those are all the intents we can say showed by the candidate. Okay, over the call, and the scalability part. So actually, Rootle does is whenever the list of candidate is given to it, like 100 candidate is given to it, and some time slot is selected. So at that particular times, uh, Rootle will call multiple candidates concurrently. So simultaneously, it will call as many as candidate possible and try to get the and drive the conversational flow for each candidate separately and collect the information from each candidate and create an analysis over it. Okay. So for scalability part, we divided our each task in small tasks and created microservices. And we are using gRPC instead of REST API to make it faster and scalable. Okay, so let's see post-call analysis, like what HR does in the post-call analysis. Generally, HR match whatever the requirements they gather with the candidate and the job profile, and we HR will generally don't try to get an intention or the sentiment from the call, but we can add those functionality in our post-call analysis. So we will from the speech or the tone, we can identify the sentiment of the each candidate, and based on that, HR can make a decision about the candidate in interest or the best match candidate. Okay. So for one single question, there are multiple intents can be exist over the call. Okay. So sometimes user give a proper answer, then we can go for the next question. Sometimes user is not available, so he want to reschedule a call. Sometimes user give an answer and raise a query. Sometimes user only raise a query. So those are multiple intents, and those intents, how those intents are handled are uh, intents are handled over the call are listed over here. Okay, so this is the particularly one question flow, like possibility of user response in one question. Okay, so based on this, let's see an example. If Rutal call a candidate, then candidate can give a positive response. Uh, in the first case, you can see. In the second case, you can see candidate is not available and he want to reschedule a call. In the third case, you can see candidate is responded, but he raised a query also. So we have to resolve the query and go further and ask a new questions also to the candidate. Okay. So that's all for the case studies. We have collected few humanized AI tech stack here, which is used or can be used in the future or used by most of the people. Okay, so these are all the humanized AI tools generally used in different categories like data management, model management, and deployment. And these are all the AI tech stacks um, which are which are has been used by a lot of humanized AI use cases. So next I will call Nisita. He will take it over from here. Okay.
So we hope the session has been insightful till now. Going forward, we'll have a scanner here that you can scan from your mobile phones. It will take you through to a survey link to understand your understanding on how did you understood the session about. There are just a few questions and it would not take you more than a minute to answer those questions. Can we have the scanner, please? Here is the scanner. Everybody visible? Ready with your cell phones? You may directly scan this, else you can go to this link www.menti.com and you can enter the code which is mentioned here or directly scan. People here, this was accessible? Filled? Completed? All right. Everybody this side? All done? Completed? Okay. Thank you so much. I would now would like to invite Jugal, our next speaker here on the floor.
Thank you, Nishita. So I think this was the first question we asked, and these are the results that we received. So yeah, the right answer is understand emotion. So as we mentioned earlier, it's a human touch that we are adding to AI, and how human is behaving is the next thing we are seeing in the application. So the right answer is the one the understand the emotion. The other two options, the OCR, as I mentioned, it's based on the data and the image processing. And the task automation is something that we can assign a job and it would do the task repeatedly until we ask to stop. So that's the task automation. So right answer was understand emotion. The next question was related to our theme, in which we asked that based on the diverse applications that we saw and the use cases we saw that public and we are trying to solve in the future and upcoming part, we'll see more humanized AI cases in it. So we are saying that, yeah, we agree with you all as well that, yeah, it is dominant and responsible if we take a better cases and make it more effective on that way. So yeah, this were the survey questions. Thanks for participating in it. So next, as we shared our experience on the different cases and say applications we tried, We created a playbook for that based on our experience, and we would like to share with you that which points we are considering when we try to solve any problem. So uh, so if you see the first three that are mainly belongs to the domain understanding. So what we suggest is we need to understand what are the current roles and responsibilities that the case is trying to get solved. So based on that, we need to understand how the current scenarios are working and see what are the main features that are being, say, examined by the humans and that we need to solve with the AI. And the third part is the break the rules, not the law. So that is mainly for the responsible part, that we should consider the cases which are helpful for the society, and it can, say, uplift the society as well as humans. So that we should consider. The next is about the naysayers. So there would be a cases when we pick the new cases or say try to solve something different, there would be, say, historical data, some, say, negative things would be there which would ask us to not go ahead. But yeah, we should focus on the problem and continue what we are trying to solve so that we can uplift the society. So based on that, as I mentioned, because of that, there would be new challenges because we are trying something new. So we should anticipate and trying to solve it. The next we are saying is there would be chances, because if you are trying something new, there would be, say, fails. We all know that Elon Musk, that space mission in which he tries to land the rocket back, it was failed many times. But they succeeded. So that's a good example that they accepted the failure and they resolved it. The next set of rules that we are going to say based on the results that we saw. So there would be chances, as I mentioned, data is there. We would record the data, but AI would, say, gradually reach where the humans are, because human mind is quite complex. It's still not being understood by the other humans as well. So it will take time. So we ask that we need to give some time, iterate what are the results that we are getting, and then make it better. So these are the playbook rules that we are following at this moment. So to conclude this, as we saw the diverse applications and as well as the diverse domains, we saw that yeah, humanized AI would make an impact in future based on the cases and the application we would pick. There is some risk because, as I mentioned, if we'll break the law, it would create a problem. But it is similar to, we can see with what we did with the electricity. Electricity was one of the major milestones for the humans, but there were some risk as well. But we overcome that. We added different insulators, different switches and everything, and we now are using electricity better. So that would be the same case with the humanized AI as well, that we need to follow and make it better for the society. So as I mentioned, we need to find the cases, try the applications, and make the new applications and make the society better with the humanized AI. So this was our part on the humanized AI. Thanks for coming. I'll ask Nishita to take over next.
So the time has come for the idea sharing and understanding your perspectives as well. So we are opening up with the Q&As for the session. Any questions?
So we talk about responsible AI, which is the new trend in the market. Earlier it was just AI without a blend of human interface in it. With that, there are two issues comes into picture. First is the data pseudo-anonymization, and second, the data, basically data protection. So how do you remove the data bias? For example, if you are in, let's say if you have data from Ghana, right? You would have data from across the globe, and then you have a data from China, and then you have data from US. How you cannot have a data set of all 7 or 8 billion people. So how do you overcome that challenge of data pseudonymization first and then data bias in itself? You cannot apply one size fit all, as you already mentioned in your presentation.
Yes, we agree that one size fit all approach does not work for all. So as you mentioned about data bias, there would be data scarcity. Like we would not be having all the data, relevant data needed for our applications. So there are also various approaches in which we can augment data, as well as some latest technology innovations in which few short learnings can be helpful. So based on less data, we can, for a given specific country, as you mentioned, suppose we pick up a country and have only few sample images for that. And based on few short learnings or different sampling techniques, we can generate more data and handle those biasness.
Yeah, actually, I had a similar question that how do you remove the bias? But I would like to elaborate a little bit with an example. So let's say you have a face detection or facial expression your code, right? So let's say what you answered is basically what you do before you train a model. So let's say you are training a face net or I don't know, efficient net is probably the state of the art. But once you have trained and you are already in the production and no AI will work at 100%, we know that. But how do you take the feedback from the human? So there must be a human in loop because it is a humanized AI, right? And the secondly is when you say responsibility, right? So there must be inclusivity. There should not be a racial bias, what he was mentioning, and there should also be a explainability that you should be able to explain why your model failed, even for let's say if it's working for 98 percentage, why it failed for 2% and what exactly went wrong. Probably sunglasses or probably anything. It should be a hat or something. So how do you include that? And I think as I understand that's what makes AI responsible, right? So like how do you do that?
Yes. So yes, that is very needful when we generate application based on humanized AI. The AI, as you said, it would not be 100% correct. But learning from the mistakes, identifying the root cause of the issues which we face while implementing this, the product which we create in various domain and various scenarios, we can learn from it, uh, create a model which could be a reiterative process in learning again from the new features which has been extracted, retrain it, and then further redevelopment it.
So we do capture automations. So we are crawling company, a lot of data we're crawling from EPF, GST, MCA. So earlier what we doing like we are using the taking capture from cookies and sending to third party to solve by manually. So we are spending a lot of bucks behind that, and that was not reasonable for the startup. So what we did, we just fine-tuned the model using the detector 2 or object detection TensorFlow using the one of the model. So faster ASEAN, yeah. So what we did then after like we are taking the captcha automation, we solved it, and we asked the automation system like whether it is correct or not. If not correct, we're using those images inside the system, and we try to understand how many captcha wasn't solved by the system. As he said, like we retrain the model like that. So we do annotations manually. So we take the captcha, we give the answers. Again, we ask the system whether it is okay or not. If not okay, we'll retrain the model on frequent basis. Iterative process, apparently. As you said, like AI is not can be 100% sure. So, and then the company always changing the captcha, the shapes, images every time. So we need to iteration every fortnightly or monthly. That can be better the model.
Okay, my question is with regarding to use case for hospitality. So what's happening nowadays that recently one Indigo Airlines has faced one issue with regarding to their humanized AI bot. So what happened that AI are not able to understand the sarcasm. So what happened that one of the his customer did place a question that I mean not question that he did give feedback that thank you so much for your service. I wanted to go for a Bangalore, but instead of that, you place my luggage to the flight of Hyderabad. So thank you very much for your service. So he was actually indicating the sarcasm, and AI bot did reply them that we glad you like our service. Please rate us with 5 star. And he did went completely crazy and put this negative experience to the all over the internet. And so lots of question mark has been raised over the that humanized AI bot for the hospitality case that uh, when you are literally giving completely frustrating experience and user are giving his feedback with sarcasm, how you will take it over the neuron network that how, AI would detect the sarcasm like this?
Yes. So you beautifully explained like how we will add that sarcasm element like we human have into our models. So yes, when we start with this traditional AI, as we looked on to some of the cases in sentiments, it might not able to detect initially that what is the sentiment. So domain knowledge is very necessary while training a model or creating some model. So yes, for sarcasm case, we can integrate some comments related to those if we want to try to create a model, uh, analyze those, and maybe the model will crack some jokes and make you laugh.
So I would like to add something here. So as you mentioned, actually, the bot replied, and it was not say up to the mark. So it was a bad user experience for the user. So as I mentioned, it's an iterative process. It would take some time to understand how it is going. Even sarcasm, some of the percent it's not like directly understandable. So for these cases, what can we do is, as Archan mentioned, we can add the sentiment analysis there. And if we find that, yeah, now this say chat is not going as per our requirement, or say user is not liking this, we can easily move it to some human. Anyway, humans were talking with till now. So yeah, we are say reducing the humans, but we can put there as a moderators. So if this something like this happen, it can easily move to the say that person. I think Swiggy and Zomato also doing the same things. When you try to do raise some request or say some query, they try to sort it out. But if not, then they'll ask you if you want a solution. Do you want to connect with someone? Then if you agree, then the person would come and solve the problem. So business would not get any impact, and the user experience would be better in future. Anyway, we identified something, we'll put it in the future. So right now, it is an iterative process, and we can solve this with this approach.
So what is the accuracy of implementing humanized AI? So if you are capturing every emotions for every humans, right? There are many creations in the world. They are different from each other. So what is the accuracy? I mean, if we
Yes.
want to rate from 1 to 10, what is the accuracy between them?
Okay. So rating from 1 to 10, like uh, what would be there is like in humanized AI, we try to enhance the AI models which we have. So it would definitely improve the performance of the existing or native AI products we have. So it would definitely increase the accuracy and consider a specific domain. Suppose you are talking to a chatbot. So initially, we all face these common issues. Like initially, when we were talking with some bots, we figured out the way how do we get our answer from them. But due to updates, adding humanized element, we found that now they are understanding the root cause of our problems and giving suggestions or solutions for our problem. So you can consider the scale from 1 to 10 towards 8 or 9. It depends basically on the domain and what problems you are trying to solve.
So I observed in the tech stack slide that you also are using or leveraging TensorFlow and OpenCV. So when you talk of OpenCV, as the name suggests, it's an open computer vision model. So when it's an open computer vision model, the concerns regarding the rights of data subjects are starkly discussed. Where do you find and how do you find a fine balance between the rights of data subject and the upgradation of the AI? Because since it's an open source model, you can never know who has captured this image or how that data subject has signed up for with the consent for using his face or his facial features for this particular use case. Particularly in European Union, when with the arrival of the Data Protection Act, it becomes even more important.
Yes, so that is actually which is like the innovation, like layers which are being added nowadays by these regulations. So basically, consider any data. Traditionally, we had a very limited resource for some domains, but due to the new products and many competitions, data has been gathered for almost all the use cases, and based on that, we have data. So now the validation of data is also necessary before passing to the model or extracting features. So we can validate the data using various statistical approaches or analyzing those data, whether it is relevant to the use case or whether it is coming from an recognized source or an authorized source. So such layers can be added before pre-processing for validating or authorizing the data.
I'm sorry, but I think the question was slightly different with regards to the rights of data subjects. For example, my facial features are to be used to improvise your data model. Okay. How would you ensure that my facial features or data collection from my facial expressions would only be used for the data, for the consent or for the objective that I signed up for? For example, I signed up for a Facebook account or Meta account for that matter. Even as large companies as Meta, Twitter, etc., are facing such challenges of responsible AI. So I signed up for a Facebook account. Facebook sold my data to you for that matter. How would Meta or I ensure that my data should be only used for the purpose I signed up for, not anything else?
Yes. So yes, now I understood. So there are, for validating, we generally sign I agree terms and conditions. So sometimes that is mentioned that we will collect your data for our purposes, where we can uh, agree or disagree to not to join their program, as well as some cases like some applications or some products are there in which they are not collecting or storing the data on their cloud for generalized global use, and they are only using those for the user experience. So in such cases, what we can do if such approach can come to us, we can think of creating a solution which would be a user or a group of users in a given community or user specific problems. Uh, in that we can approach to this problem.
So, as you mentioned about the data privacy, in most of the cases, I mentioned that the data can come from anywhere. Uh, we we verify about like its licenses and the usage as a like when we sign up for some data. For example, when we did work on a router, there were Indian languages. So for that, we needed a details from. So we needed some data set. So on publicly in India, IIT Madras had a data of around like 100 of ours in 13 languages. And one government agency named ILSRD had 100 hours of data for Hindi and English both. So when we asked for the data, they did some verification. Are we using? What we'll do? Gave us like the disclaimers that yeah, you can use for this purposes only, and they gave us the data on a note, so that yeah, we know that yeah, it is a trusted source, and yeah, we will use on that cases. About data privacy, as per our research, there are some laws coming, mainly for the AI as well in Europe, which would in future. And as I mentioned, so as a responsible community, we need to follow that. There would be different ways as well, but yeah, as a community, we should follow, and that would make us responsible in that. So yeah, and some of the cases that we are serving to our customers, for example, the cognitive one, the first one you saw, it was depends on the patients. So on cases, it was client that provided us the data. So on that case, it was properly stored at their side. It was properly following the GDPR rules, and then we used it. So it is like understanding, and it's like consent from the patients as well. So that way.
My question is like how much probably for different types of industries, like some messages or some analysis, the different industries. Someone has the positive and response, then how much the probability or how can we?
So that can happen in various use cases when we try to solve using humanized AI. For that, we can analyze the set of response and the accuracy or the threshold value we get from the model while inferencing. And based on that, we can make decision of whether this is perfectly wrong or or whether it is perfectly right. Or we can create a layer in which we can decide that this type of issues needs to be reviewed. So it may enhance the product later on.
each static time, whatever the response is either negative or positive. So negative, then we have to iterate each and every time.
No, not iterating each and every time. So once we create a model, train on the data, once we will get that this is the baseline. Above this, we will get a true prediction. Below this, we will get false predictions. So after that, when we analyze the responses, how many are failing or how many are passing, and if there are some failure cases, for those cases we could analyze what was the response or how much percentage the model predicted, and based on that we can create these three layers. That one layer above would be perfectly right, like one range would be for reviewing, and below some specific range it is completely wrong. So yes, this industry-wise or product-wise, we can follow this approach.
Next question.
I think the subject being humanized, right? And if you look at life in general right now, okay, there's one movie I saw. I don't know the year it got released. It was called She, SHE. So there's somebody who's retiring. That person gets sort of a robot gifted, and this person lives with this robot, talks all of the aspects. Oh, neend nahi aa rahi hai, that guy starts to talk to that person or that robot. The robot forms, this person forms that emotional, bondage with this robot. We all know probably, I think this was just a film, but when I look at the modernization of human relationships now, specifically the older age, where the people do not have time for them. Unke kids, they do not have time for them. The medical fraternity does not have enough time and that they care. So I was looking at a general journey. I was looking at something like Carobot, Pepper, Zenbo. ये कोशिश थी across the globe where they were trying to create the robots which are more humanized robots. ये feel दे सके in general. This is not certainly impossible, but data ये कह रहा है कि so far we have not been able to create anything close to what can give that comfort, because by default human को comfort नहीं दे रहा है right now in general, because उसकी expectations अलग है. At least robot will be able to do that. So वो 70-80% भी अगर problem solve करता है, it's a huge plus. At least वो disappoint नहीं होगा, which humans continuously they go and disappoint people in general sense. So दो questions है इसके अंदर में. जो पहला question है, how is it that इस side पे कोई success अभी भी नहीं मिल रहा है? I mean, and what could actually be the factors? Just take if you could just throw that light. That's one angle. दूसरा point इसके अंदर में ये है, it is successful already in a way, because ध्यान से अगर देखें, we are all adapted to our mobiles, although they're still being a gadget. पर अगर ये वो robot की तौर पे मैं उसको एक second के लिए देखता कि mobile ही मेरा robot है, okay, so that means I'm already glued. वो मेरा already friend बन चुका है, because I spend 6, 8, 10 hours already. नींद नहीं आ रही, I pick up that friend. Okay, so what's happening is mobile being a gadget, which is applications of application, is able to solve that need somehow. Okay, but in real form of AI side से particularly somebody just listening, I'm just talking about similar to Alexa and things like that, but ऐसा अभी तक successful क्यों नहीं हो रहा? So if you could just answer two questions.
Yeah, so the humanized AI field is increasing, but increasing gradually. Since it is in the early stage, it has been traditionally AI models were there. They became a trend, they became a boom. Then people figured out that yes, the bot is helping us, but some humanized flavor is missing in it. It is not able to understand my emotions, my speech, or what I'm trying to say in some aspects. So it like we can consider a case of Tesla cars. Initially, like there was a rapid demand, like everyone, when there was a launch or when there was a showcase of the product, the people were waiting for the launch, what would the features, how it would handle. Then after the selling, after it implemented in only some of the areas, based on some of the locations or some of the environmental factors which would adapt that such kind of cars. So adapting is also one of the element which needs to be taken for utilizing these products and promoting them for more increased and more demand in various use cases. So I believe that this may be the reasons, and think that once it, right now it is increasing gradually, but it will in some years increase exponentially. Anyone wants to add?
Yeah, so on the same case, I think there's a product named CocoBot, so which is trying to solve the same problem. So as you mentioned about this psychological, uh, say when someone is like depressed or they want to talk with someone, they either go with their say friends or family, or someone wants to make it anonymous, so they'll go with some psychologist and everything. But still, those are humans. There is a chance that they can share the data, leak the data to someone else. So now, because of the bots are getting popular, because when they are talking with someone or a bot, they know that this is not a person, it's a bot. It would store somewhere, but it would not leak to someone. But as we discussed, every psychology problems or every person would have a different psychology. So for someone, this issue can be resolved directly. For someone, it needs a psychologist to solve that part. So what CocoBot is doing, they have hundreds of specialists there. So the main solution they are doing is also moderating. So whenever some person is going there talking with bot, they are moderating that part, and if they are saying something new, say pattern or some new problem or new features are coming from those chats, they are trying to train and then put it back into the CocoBot. So as Archana mentioned, it's an iterative process and it would increase eventually. So main solution that they are trying is find a finite number of problems. If they find something new problems, they'll try to solve it differently. So that's the approach they are trying at this moment.
So my question is, what's your thought on putting emotions inside robots or machines, right? Be it a dominant example or a responsible example. I mean to say it's a dominant AI and a responsible AI both. What's your thought on that?
Yeah. So yeah, as you mentioned, the question is about adding emotions to the robot.
Yeah.
So in that case, we saw lots of movies on that, lots of books are also on there. So my approach would be, it will be still a moderation. So we can understand how the robot is doing. We can feel what it is doing, and it can feel our feeling as well. But if we face that something is going different, then we should take action and try to resolve it instead of going into the flow. So for example, I think in 2017, Facebook had two bots. I think Alice and Bob, the name were. So in which the news came that they were talking itself on their own language. So media agencies were on fire that yeah, Facebook is failing. Even Elon Musk tweeted that Mark doesn't know how the AI works. So in that case, then one of the developer named Dhruv Batra, I think, he shared his inputs into that it was not a whole failure, it was a closure from the Facebook side. They are not considering it as a failure, it was a programming mistake. So the Alice and Bob were designed to negotiate on something, on say anything for a say retail item. So they programmed it to negotiate in English. But what happened, because of some programmatical error, they tried shorthands. For example, if they want 5 items, Bob answered to me, to me, to me, to me. So Alice understood that it's a 5 times. And they took, so someone when saw, it took as it's a secret coded language. But it was because of some grammatical mistake from the coding side, it went like that. So they resolved it, so they moderated it and fixed it. And they closed the project as a success, not a failure. So it's a moderation and it's an iterative process that is a future for humanized AI on that case.
So what's your thought actually? Shall we think about putting emotions in the machines, or
yes, I agree.
Should be responsible in the programming as well?
Yes, I agree that it's needed. We can add, I'm not like resistance on that. We should add, but yeah, moderation should be there as a responsible. If AI is responsible, we need to take some responsibility as well to make it better. So yeah, we need to add our feedbacks everywhere. So this is the same thing we are doing everywhere. Like if we try any product, they ask for a feedback because they want to do better. So same thing would happen with AI as well. Anyway, we are trying to replicate the human mind. So it would be the similar approaches that we are trying with our own products. and it would be applicable for AI as well.
And how about, in chatbot conversations, how would you identify the bots on the other side?
Beg your pardon?
How would you identify the bots on the other side?
So if I need to identify if bot is there or not.
On the other side, you are also talking to the bot where you are expecting a candidate or somebody else.
Yeah. So for my case, my personal way is to ask something which is not in its context. For example, if I'm going into some HR chatbot and they are trying to gather some information from me, it should be a smooth process if conversational AI is there. But if I want to check if it is a bot or not, then I can ask a random question like what is tomatoes price today. I know if human is not there, it will flick and give something different on there. If human is there, it would give a different. So we can try. So from my preference, I try something like this and identify if bot is not or there or not on that case.
Thanks.
Next question.
Yeah, so as was the previous question about like the movie mentioned by him, She, like where, we are not progressing ahead in that perspective. I think the major issue is like there are two major things. One is the control and other is the trust issue. Like as we discussed before, the data breaching and stuff, like that is the most basic reason, like not even more than 50% of people are, trusting Google or Siri or Cortana of Microsoft. And apart from that, the failures of bots that we saw previously, like as you mentioned about the Facebook bots and also IBM bots that were, giving foul answers to the users because they overlearned. So what's your perspective on this? Like how do we control the learning process? Because in the current technology, we are trying to, have the bots learn by themselves. But in that approach, I think it's learning more than we want them to learn. So how do you control that? Is there any, thoughts from your end over that? And how do we develop this trust issue?
So first of all, so whenever AI is applied somewhere, we saw that it is making some, say, trust issues because it is thinking on our own and based on our historical data and everything, it is taking the decision. Now, that's why we want humanized AI to add a human touch to it. Now, the cases that you mentioned about the trust issues and everything, so that is not like straightforwardly solved. We need to actually gather the more information there, and based on the failed cases, as I mentioned, we need to make cases finite in that case. So we need to continue our research. If we find 6 items, we need to solve out. If we find 2 new items, then we need to put a research based on that as well. So it would be not a straightforward approach. Moderate and iteration would be there, like our conventional AI systems.
It's not a question per se. It's rather sort of commentary. So we are graduating from data to tools to AI, iRobot, She. I think the concerns will always be there about the responsible AI. Today we are talking about Meta. Tomorrow we will graduate to Meta. There will be concerns regarding, threats of big tech. There has already been a lot of concerns about big pharma, big banks, big corporates. They run the governments, or they even, destabilize the democracy on not democratic countries. They are always a threat. We will probably talk in the future about, people are applying their different avatars and different talking in Meta, discussing terrorist acts and, all those selling weapons and everything in currencies which are not controlled by governments like Bitcoins and Ethereum and things like that. We might will have to draw certain restrictions somewhere, whether these restrictions would be effective or not. These constraints and concerns would always be there, but I think it's a moral issue rather than being a technological or legal or a political issue. So I mean, as I said, it's not a question per se; it's rather a commentary. So thank you for this opportunity.
Moving forward for the last question, post which we'll have the networking where you can ask more and directly connect.
So it's not a question, but my observation. See, we are all technology people, so we know how this evolved. But and there was a question related to sarcasm, right? How AI will understand the sarcasm. But let's really deal more in a human way. So when we have a kid at home, right, at 3 years of age, kid starts picking up the language and try to do some sarcasm, right? For 3 years of age kid, right? Kid will laugh, and we will also laugh because there won't be understanding. But same kid at age of 10, 12, 15, try some sarcasm, right? You will get 2 times more sarcasm back. Here we will see the similar flow. See, serious AI we have just started 10 years back. That's a time frame we are talking about. Last 10 years only we have now started all different technologies and inventions and data collection and everything since last 10 years. And if you see trend, it's a hockey curve, exponentially growing every year, the amount of data what we collect, right? Just wait for 5 more years and you will see AI will be dealing with much more sarcasm, much more emotions, all humanized aspects of how we really deal with human. You will see that in AI, right? It's just data collection and it's just 10 years. If you see the human civilization, the language, probably multi-millennia, since millennia it got developed at this level. If you talk about emotions, if we talk about certain aspects of dealing with human, understanding that nitty-gritty of being human, many millenniums, right? This is the time frame we are talking about, right? So AI is just 10 years when we have started very seriously doing AI. I believe 5 more years and we'll be at par what we are dealing right now. Another 10, 15 years probably will be exceeding. And when at that time, when you are chatting with a chatbot, and if you are human and chatting with the bot, you won't able to figure it out whether you are chatting with chatbot or human. That would be the stage probably in next 5 to 10 years. This is what I think it will evolve overall in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your Q&As.